right now we have 110,000 in the bank, and 55,000 in credit card debt, which about 20 to 25% on each card of interest rate. Would you recommend us paying that down to at least getting it down below 30%, and going into the, December, January, February? We basically start picking back up in February when we start doing lawn scalpings and things like that. Would you recommend making like a payment of like $38,000 and having less cash in the bank for marketing, or would you much rather just keep doing smaller payments throughout the months? What just kind of want to see what your take was on something like that.
Yeah, just to be clear, are you actually carrying that balance and paying that percentage right now, the 58,000?
Right now, yes. Right now we're
Okay.
carrying balance. Yeah.
Okay. And then what's your annual revenue right now, like for 2025?
Right now we're at 550,000.
Okay. And so your best month this year was what, like 65,000?
I think our best month was around like 75,000.
Cool. Okay. So in the 4L framework, anything above a 1 month of revenue, I consider distributable cash. Now, that is assuming we're trying to distribute cash. There's no way in the world I would just take a distribution or take money out of the business instead of just paying off debt when I know I have a guaranteed 25% return on my investment. So like if you put the money in the stock market and the market like went on a tear, it'd get like 15, 16%. So I would do everything in my power to take those distributions out of the business and go pay off the credit card debt. Because you will, even if you paid off 30 or 40 grand of that and got to $60,000, $70,000 in your bank account, you'd pay off most of the debt and you'd still pass the 4L framework, which is 1 month of revenue in the bank.
Okay. And just to let you know, the credit card debt is in the business name. Like the credit cards are under the business name, not. But yeah.
Yeah, I would still pay them off, and mostly because the alternative is that money sits in the bank account and makes 0.01% on a checking account. If you have better use of the money, you could do that. However, I would say if you're like, well, I got to keep powder dry for next spring. Okay, hold. What's going to happen in spring that is going to require you to spend $50,000 unless you're losing a whole bunch of money during the winter? If you're losing a whole bunch of money in just January, February, I would say, okay, maybe we keep a little more powder dry, but let's assume we pay off 50 grand of this debt. We still have 60 grand in the bank. Let's assume we lose a little bit of money in January and February because it's slow. I don't think that's happening because it sounds like you're running this very efficiently. But let's assume 10 more grand. You go into spring rush with 50 grand. If you spent 10,000 of that on marketing to juice the spring rush, you still are going to be okay. It's going to run a little bit tight, but it's very difficult to beat a 25% interest rate on a credit card. And so that money's in the bank account, is burning your hole in your pocket, because $50,000, let's just divide this out. Over the course of a year, you're going to pay $12,000. You're paying about $1,200 a month in interest right now. And so if you just paid that off over the course of 5 months, that interest, if you just put it towards your advertising, you'd be able to grow the business a whole lot more. And you have like 6 or 7 grand in what would have been interest payments that you'd spend on advertising next spring. So next April, May, June, if you just pay it off now, you'll have 5 or 6 grand that you would otherwise spend in interest. You'd just be able to now put towards marketing and grow the business still. And so the only reason that you would be wanting to keep that cash if you're going to go buy a bunch of trucks with that cash instead of advertising, in which case I would say still pay off the credit card, because I'd rather go get debt on the trucks at 4, 5, 6% interest than 25% interest on a credit card. So I'd pay the credit card off, keep myself $10,000 for marketing to be able to expand next spring. That's a lot in your size, $10,000, $15,000. You're still fine, but save $1,000+ a month in interest that could be used for that juice in the spring. And if you're like, well, I need the trucks and equipment, great. You will get better equipment loans or truck loan debt than credit cards.